off yesterday morning. And what I've just told you is that you're going to have to get your eyes on Jesus. Keep your eyes on Jesus. And as long as you do, after you have flung aside every weight and the sin that so easily besets you, He's the author and He's the finisher. He's Genesis and Revelation. But I don't want God just to be Genesis and stop there. I'd like to have a little Exodus. I'd like to have an Exodus. Some people never know an Exodus because they never got through Genesis. To many people, God is just the beginning. He's never finished anything for them. But I wouldn't want God to be my beginning and not the finisher. I don't want Him to be Alpha and not Omega. I want Him to sort of begin something in my life, and I believe He'll continue that which He has begun if I'll keep my eyes on Him. How many believe it? You can't have an Exodus till you get through Genesis. And some of you people are still in bondage and in captivity and never come out of Egypt yet because you haven't got out of the beginning yet. You haven't even started on the journey. So this is the race. But this is the supernatural race. With our eyes on a supernatural Christ who tells us we're all walking a supernatural walk and doing a supernatural thing. And as long as we keep our eyes on a supernatural God who never changes, who's called us and set us aside and ordained us, my God, He'll give us a supernatural ministry. Most of you people here in this camp meeting this morning, and many that listen to our broadcast day after day, have already made up a decision. They've made a decision they're going to have everything that God promised. Amen. Listen, you're going to have to get away from the fresh pots in Egypt. Some of you are going to have to leave your leeks and your garlics. There's maybe a wall in front of you, but you can never have an Exodus until you get out of Genesis. And I believe unto every man has been given a proportion of faith. And I've heard some preachers stand up and encourage people to say, everybody has faith. Everybody has faith. Yes, everybody has faith. Just like the peach tree has peaches on it when there's ice on the ground and everything is frozen over and there's not a leaf on the tree. There's little tiny buds there and there's peaches in those buds. But nobody is gathering the peaches and making peach cobbler out of it. They may gather them in July and August. They're there. But you have to tear the little bud off and get a magnifying glass and look. And it's a tiny little green thing as big as a pinhead. Those buds are going to have to get some sunshine and some warmth. I'm talking about the sunshine and the warmth of His love. Got to pour a little irrigation water down to some rainfall, and when that rain starts falling, the sun starts shining, those little buds start bursting. My, what a lovely odor. But I don't hear anybody or see anybody taking a deep breath in January out there to smell the peach blossoms. Let our fruit begin to blossom. Let it grow and let it get ripe. So before this camp meeting is over, every one of us can pick the perfect fruit of faith, because faith is a fruit. It's listed in the 5th chapter of Galatians. Love, joy, peace, and faith is one of the fruits of the Spirit. But listen, friend, it's not enough to plant a tree. We planted an orchard here at Miracle Valley. But the boys are disking the weeds out of them. They're irrigating it. I carry a pocket knife around in my pocket all the time. Somebody said, what are you doing with that big old knife? And one of the teachers in a joking sort of way said, don't you know no boys carry a 6-inch blade around here? I said, I'm a privileged character. This is a pruning knife, and I'm pruning the limbs off. Said, I know you're doing it every morning at 6 o'clock. I said, I'm doing it more than in a 6 o'clock prayer meeting. What are you doing? I'm cutting some of them suckers off of them peach trees out here we planted last spring, so those suckers won't sap the life out of those trees. Every sucker's got to be cut off, and every extra limb's got to be pruned off. We're shaping those trees. We don't want suckers running up on the side. We want that tree to grow up properly. We not only want it to produce right, we want it to look right while it's producing. Well, somebody shout with me. We not only want you to produce right, we want to sort of shape your tree up so you look good while you're producing fruit. So every one of us are fruit-bearing trees. And as the Scripture declared of Joseph, the Scripture tells us in the book of Genesis that Joseph was a fruitful bough. He was described as a big limb on a tree that was full of ripe fruit. My God, that every one of us take him as our example, and every one of us be a fruitful bough. I want you to be a fruit tree, but I don't want you to be a tree out there with just a little bunch of buds on you that never burst. A bunch of buds that never open, that never produce and never grow into good, rich, ripe fruit. Yesterday in the dining hall at the camp meeting we had peach cobbler. Wasn't that good peach cobbler? You know where those peaches came from? Every one of those peaches were produced on a tree that had some pruning. You people that don't want to be pruned might as well close it to Genesis and never open it to Exodus. Because you're never going to have a coming out. You're never going to have an Exodus from the flesh pots of Egypt, from Pharaoh's whiplash, until you get out of Genesis and into Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and start walking with God, and start traveling with God, and keeping His commandments and doing the thing that God's called. I said He is the author, He is the finisher of our faith. This is the supernatural race. It's a supernatural walk. Keeping our eyes on a supernatural Christ. After we've unloaded, after we've flung aside, and after we've laid aside every weight, the sin that so easily besets us, after we've turned our back on old Pharaoh. Let Pharaoh grumble, let him complain, let him hitch up his chariots and his horses and start after us. Bless God, he can't bring us back. He'll never be able to put us in bondage again. He'll never take us back to the flesh pots and put us back in the brick kilns, because our God performed a miracle to set us free, and He can perform a miracle to keep us free. Do you believe it? Oh, He's wonderful. He's wonderful. He's wonderful. And this journey that started with a miracle is going to end in a miracle. This that started in Christ is going to end in Christ. Who was the author, He's going to be the finisher. But I said you're going to have to start traveling right. And there's only one way in the world you can do. Every step of the journey ought to be a miracle. Whether God is closing the mouth of the lions, or taking the bite out of the lion's mouth, taking the burn out of the fire in the furnace, whether God's supplying daily manna from heaven, or whether it's quails that come up where there is no quails, whether God's opening the sea or closing the sea, it's all supernatural. Whether God's causing the sun to stand still until the battle is fought, or making bitter water sweet, every bit of it is a miracle from beginning to end. Whether God's making our shoes run and last for 40 years. Somebody said, well, my shoes last while I'm in this race. Yes, if it takes you 40 years, bless God, He'll make your shoes wear 40 years and you won't even get a hole in them. Because God don't even want you to bruise your feet. Look at your shoes this morning. Come on, friend, every one of you ought to start walking. Every one of you ought to start running. Are you running with me? You're running. Are you running a supernatural race? Are you going to win? You never win unless you get rid of every sin. You never win unless you get rid of every weight. You never win unless you let God day after day, moment after moment, do the thing He has promised to do. If you let Him do for you what He promised to do for you, then you're going to find out you can do what He has told you to do. Let God do something for you this morning. Let Him prove to you that He's on the journey and He's taking the trip with you. Get your eyes on the heaven. You may find a supernatural cloud here. I don't care how dark the night may get, God will let you know He's with you on the journey. If He has to send a pillar of fire by night and a cloud by day, if He has to bring quails up around the camp every day or bring light bread from heaven at sunrise, God will do it to let you know you're not alone. My God, that somebody else is running with us. Somebody else is fighting with us. The battle is the Lord's, and somebody else is walking with us. Paul said in 1 Corinthians 17, I will walk in them. And if you live close enough to God and let Him live and dwell in you, you're not going to walk alone. And He walks in you. You can't help but have His faith when you have Him. My God, if the Holy Ghost is on the inside of us, you can't help but have Him. And if Jesus is on the inside of us, you can't help but have Him. If the Holy Ghost dwells in you, you can't help but have everything the Holy Ghost has. What is it? The gifts of the Spirit. And if Jesus lives and walks and dwells in you, you can't help but have everything that Jesus has. What do you want? His holiness, His righteousness, His faith. I want God's faith, and I'm going to have it. Then let's say, God, give me faith from heaven. Give me your faith. Faith for a supernatural walk for us.